to you. All right. I've got everything going live right now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host, Shantae Charles. Hope everybody is having a great and wonderful day. I'm probably going to be back upstairs next week. Good morning. Because this is a lot. And I would rather have a desktop in front of me. And I may use this setup again for maybe interviews because there's enough space for me and someone to be sitting here and doing an interview. But I prefer to have a desktop in front of me. So, yeah, I tried it out. So good morning. If you can see and hear me clearly, put some hearts on the screen. If you can see and hear me clearly, put some hearts on the screen. I see one person in my comment box. I don't see anyone else. All right. So Pastor Ben, you can see and hear me clearly. Good. We're going to jump right into our subject matter for today. If you're with us for the first time, we cover all different kinds of subjects every single day of the week, and we try to separate them out by subject matter, but we're always going to weave in a Christ-centered perspective. So today we're doing Healthy, Wealthy, Wise, which has to do with what we put into our bodies as well as how we respond in business. It's mainly for entrepreneurs at this time, but if you are working a 9 to 5, this will kind of help you understand from the employer's perspective as well. So if you're working for someone else, these are still good insights into how entrepreneurs think. All right. If you are an entrepreneur or you're an aspiring entrepreneur, these are very helpful principles that the sooner you learn them, the better off your business practices will become. How do I know this? Because I've been in business for myself since 2010, and almost everything they have shared thus far with us are business practices that work. So that's why I am highly encouraging these books because they are business practices that work. The Entrepreneur's Playbook by Leonard C. Green. All right, so you're an entrepreneur. Good morning, Lady Judy. Good morning, Prophet Ben. Pastor Ben. Good morning, Prophet Jonathan. Good morning to each and every one of you who are out there in internet land, Twitter users, laptop users, etc. Good morning to you. All right, Entrepreneur's Playbook. Wealth Can't Wait. Excellent book. This book was very helpful in terms of helping us to secure our newest property and helped us to avoid some tricks being played. So if you're interested in real estate, I am definitely recommending this book. Wealth Can't Wait. Avoiding the 7 wealth traps, implementing the 7 business pillars, and completing a life audit today. So we are actually in this book on the business pillars side. Okay. And the story of food, which is where we're going to begin today. We went through talking about the history of vegetables last week, and now we're going to get into some of those vegetables. Before that, we talked about nuts. So we covered the history of that. We didn't go through every single one, but we covered enough. And let's talk. Where do I want to go first? Interesting name for these vegetables here. These are called the brassicas or the brassicas. Somebody will correct my pronunciation if they're into food producing. All right. I try to eat some of these every week. Originating from a wild species of straggly weed. The brassica family of leafy green vegetables includes cabbages, cauliflower, and broccoli. I didn't know cauliflower tasted so good. It tastes just like broccoli to me until I had some a couple years back, and then I started eating it. But I love broccoli and I love cabbage. OMG. I love cabbage that is properly seasoned. And we happen to have a mom and pop buffet place here in the DMV. It's where I hang out a lot, so I'm not going to tell people where it is because I don't want people to come find me. So if you come for a visit, if you come on Sunday to our ministry, you will know where I like to hang out on Sundays after service. Yeah, so we have a good time doing some fellowship there and getting our grub on after the sermon. But yeah, they season their cabbage really, really well. And so, yeah, I like to go over there and grab me some cabbage. Through cultivation over millennia, it has evolved into one of the most widely eaten groups of vegetables. The brassica family, which today includes more than 3,500 species, evolved from a single species of leafy weed and yellow flowers known as the wild cabbage or the mustard plant. In its most primitive form, wild cabbage is thought to have originated in what is now Turkey. The edible parts of the modern brassicas, depending on the type, include the leaves, the flowers, the stems, and the roots. The group encompasses some of the most common vegetables in both Eastern and Western cuisine, including green and white cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, pak choy, pasai, and gai lan. Cabbage itself is a terminal leaf bud, in other words, the part that grows at the top of the plant, while kale and collard greens are leaf brassicas, meaning they are cultivated exclusively for their leaves alone. Chinese gailan is eaten for both its stalks and its leaves. In the 4th century BCE, Greek philosopher Theophrastus of Eresus wrote a description of cabbage, and 2 centuries later, Roman author Cato the Elder noted that, quote, cabbage surpasses all the vegetables. Either eat it cooked or raw. If you eat it raw, dress it with vinegar. It aids digestion remarkably. So they've been talking about cabbage for hundreds of years and what it can do for your digestive system. The Romans, who it is thought were responsible for developing any varieties, also used cabbage leaves for bandaging battle wounds. Now, I didn't know that. Bandage your wound with some cabbage. Mm. Modern scientific research has shown that this practice was not misjudged. Cabbage leaves have antibacterial properties that counter infection. Good to know if you ever make it to the show Survivor. Get you some cabbage leaves. Diverging traditions. While the ancient Mediterranean civilizations were growing cabbages with soft heads of loosely packed leaves, the hard-headed or white cabbage was being developed further north. Celtic marauders from the northern fringes of Europe in the 7th century BCE are credited with breeding the cooler climate white cabbage after bringing the vegetables back to Ireland from Asia Minor, part of modern-day Turkey, or the Mediterranean from their raiding voyages. Widespread cultivation of cabbages in northern Europe probably dates from that time. From about the 10th century, because of its ability to withstand hard winters, cabbage became a familiar and vital ingredient of the peasant diet, providing nutritional benefits throughout the winter when most other vegetables were actually lacking. The culinary uses of cabbage varied according to the region. In Russia, it was made into shishki, a nutritious soup. In Germany, it was preserved as sauerkraut, and peasants are said to have eaten as many as 3 to 4 servings a day. Cabbage rolls, comprising pickled or boiled cabbage leaves wrapped around fillings of meat or grains, had been a part of Middle Eastern cuisine and a traditional Jewish dish for many centuries before becoming widespread in Europe, especially Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. Notwithstanding is its key role as a staple food of the poor of Europe. The upper class, particularly in England, preferred not to eat cabbage, thinking it malodorous and unpalatable. In his book, The Anatomy of Melancholy, English clergyman Robert Burton wrote that eating cabbage, quote, caused troublesome dreams and sends up black vapors to the brain. Possibly as a way of countering its poor reputation, English chef Robert May included a recipe for cabbage boiled in milk to remove any bitterness in his 1660 cookbook, The Accomplished Cook. Whatever their perceived disadvantages, brassicas remained an important part of the Central and North European diet. By the 13th century, Brussels sprouts, in essence, tiny cabbages harvested from a central stem, were being cultivated in what is now Belgium. However, the first written reference didn't appear until the 16th century in the writings of Dutch physician and botanist Rembertus Dodonaeus. The miniature cabbage buds were only later given the name Brussels sprouts after the Belgian city. Kohlrabi, from the German kohl for cabbage and rabi for turnip, first described in 1554, was selectively bred in northern Europe to increase the size of its stem. Other forms of brassica were cultivated to emphasize different edible parts. Both broccoli and cauliflower had been grown since Roman times, the result of breeding programs to develop it as an edible portion. The sprouting forms of broccoli may have been introduced to France in the 16th century by the Italian born Catherine de' Medici. Her influence helped popularize broccoli and other brassicas among the French middle and upper classes after she became Queen of France in 1549. From cauliflower, like its relative broccoli, emerged from the Mediterranean and began to spread to other parts of Europe during the 16th century. The English referred to cauliflower as Cyprus kale, indicating that the first seed stock may have come from the island of Cyprus. These early cauliflowers were the direct antecedents of the group known today as the Italian cauliflower, which includes Romanesco and several colored varieties. Although some brassicas developed from wild forms in East Asia, similar to the way Western cabbage recent evidence suggests that Portuguese traders also brought some kinds of cabbages and kale to China in the late 17th century. The Portuguese Tronchuda cabbage was cultivated there to produce Gai Lan. In turn, Chinese travelers took Gai Lan to Japan, to Laos, Vietnam, Malaya, and other parts of Asia. Today, Westerners know this Chinese staple as Chinese kale or Chinese broccoli. Domesticated brassicas first arrived in the New World with the French explorer Jacques Cartier, who planted cabbages in Canada in 1541. By the 18th century, cabbage was being grown by American Indians as well as the colonials. In North America, Brussels sprouts brought French settlers had also been grown there since the 18th century. Within 100 years, Bernard McMahon, an Irishman horticulturalist, listed more than 20 varieties of cabbage being grown in the United States by this point. Irish immigrants helped to popularize cabbage in the United States with their traditional dish of corned beef and cabbage. Now, I don't know about you all, But I grew up on corned beef and cabbage. It was really good. I always wondered what it was, the meat itself, and then my mom told me that it was corned beef. But that was some good eating. So if you've never had it, try it. All right, corned beef and cabbage, which became a New England favorite. German settlers also took cabbage seeds with them and continued to make sauerkraut. Another European cabbage dish taken to heart by Americans in the 20th century was coleslaw. I love some good coleslaw, but it has to be made right. It can't be bitter. Originally brought by Dutch settlers. Now a standard side dish in fast food outlets around the world, coleslaw based on white cabbage was also integrated into Japanese cuisine as a result of the influence of American forces stationed there after World War II. Yeah, Lady Judy says corned beef. It was delish. From the 18th century onward, broccoli was also popular with Americans, especially those with an interest in horticulture. In John Randolph's Treatise on Gardening, written around 1765, the author advised boiling broccoli and cauliflower in a clean cloth and serving them simply with butter. President Thomas Jefferson, who was also a keen gardener, had this book in his library and was inspired to plant ornamental rows of purple, white, and green broccoli on his terrace. Today, vegetables of the brassica family are grown in approximately 150 countries throughout the world. China is the largest producer, while other countries that produce brassicas on a significant scale include India, Russia, and Korea. 4 times as much cabbage is grown as broccoli and cauliflower combined. So, in case you didn't realize how popular cabbage was, there you have it. All right. Next time we talk about this, we will be going on to lettuce and spinach, two of my other favorites. Spinach, especially baby spinach, is a big favorite of mine. I don't even like to use lettuce anymore for the most part. I mean, I'll take some on a sandwich, but I would prefer spinach. All right. Let's get into wealth can't wait, believe it or not. And we're going to move into generating the momentum that builds wealth. Reading this book generated momentum that built wealth in my life already. So I'm excited about part 5 to share with you all. So you too can be building momentum that generates wealth in your life. So pillar 7 is investing in coaches and masterminds and role models and being willing to apprentice. That's where we are. Being willing to learn from someone else. So his first lesson underneath here was leading with revenue, making sure that you're involving yourself in things that are not eating up your revenue. If you are spending more than you're earning, that's a problem. The second lesson was setting a vision for your life. Whether you are a believer or not, that's something everybody needs to do. Whether or not you accomplish every single thing is another issue. But the point is, you can't really accomplish much if you don't know where you're going. So set a vision for your life. Third lesson today, focus on one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. As a young business owner bombarded by 1,000 distractions, impossible courses of action, this simple question has become a mantra for David. The focusing question is a tool you can use anytime you're feeling overwhelmed with challenges or even opportunities. Just ask that one question and then take action on the answer. There are so many other lessons that David learned from Gary. It could be a book in and of itself. However, the key lessons above are some of the best. For a lot more, read the book by Gary Keller called The One Thing. So, masterminds. Most of us have heard the term masterminds, right? I've attended some masterminds from different people. But if you have not heard the term, let's talk about it. In Napoleon Hill's classic work, Think and Grow Rich, of the which I have in my library, and also have Think and Grow Rich for Black people, because Napoleon Hill realized that there were different challenges that African Americans were facing in this country that other people were not. So if you're going to buy Think and Grow Rich and you're African American, make sure you pick up the Think and Grow Rich edition for Black people, because they both matter. He says this about the power of masterminding. When there is more than one gathered together, the power of the group is multiplied, actually produces more energy or more progress than if you were working by yourself. Imagine if you were constantly hanging out with Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Jack Welch. What are the odds that you would be poor or stay poor? Or if you were hanging out with Olympic athletes as friends, what are the odds that you would be in pretty decent shape or you would be getting in shape? The questions answer themselves. We are who we hang out with. Yep. Jim Rohn, author and motivational speaker, tells us that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if you want an incredible life, doesn't it make sense that you should build your own tribe of winners? A tribe of people who want the same things that you do? This is the essence of a mastermind. The guys that David hangs out with are financially free. So it would be odd if he did not achieve financial freedom as well. The guys in his mastermind work out consistently. If he didn't work out all the time, he would not fit in with his community. And my Periscope has stopped. So let me come back in. This is like my 3rd phone trying to use with Periscope. And every time I switch phones, some different problem crops up. So you all pray for that. And it says internet connection not established. All right. Let's figure out what's going on. Thank you for your patience. I don't know why there would not be an internet connection established. Because I have internet and my data is on. So not sure why it's not allowing me. It's interesting that I have 3 smartphones and it doesn't matter which one I use, it keeps coming up. So let's see. All right. So this one is saying my internet is fine. All right, thank you for your patience. We are coming back with part 2. Sorry about that. I had to change phones. My internet, for some reason, is acting up on this phone. I don't know why, but we keep going. All right. So, as he said, we are who we hang out with. We're talking from the book. For those of you just coming in, we're talking from the book Wealth Can't Wait. And we are talking about how masterminds bring value. Masterminds bring value. What is so great about a mastermind? You get to pick your tribe. And the better the tribe, the better your results. David can attest to the power of masterminding. His two peer partners are very physically attractive. He was not. He worked out, but it was not a deeply ingrained way of life for him. It was a struggle. The gym was a struggle. The gym is a struggle for a couple of us. So I don't do the gym. I try to do outdoors. I try to do walking. I do biking. I do hiking. I don't really like the stableness or the stillness or the, how can I put it? To me, it becomes monotonous of the gym. I like to do things outside. I like to go walking. I like to go skating. Anybody out there like to go skating? I think that's a great form of exercise, especially if you're working on strength in your legs. So for him, going to a gym was a struggle. Tim, however, lived to ski, mountain bike, and climb in the back country. Pat loved to do marathons and run with the charity called Back on Your Feet. They were both more physically active than David was. Over the last 15 years, they have built all their mastermind retreats around physical activity. They almost always climb a mountain, ski, or ride a bike someplace. David had to step it up if he was going to keep up with his peers. Today, he works out about 250 times a year and enjoys being in the best shape of his life. He didn't hang out with Pat and Tim. He knows he wouldn't be in such great shape if he didn't. How many world class organizations operate without a board of directors? Is there a single one? So, how do you operate a big life without a board of directors? That is what your mastermind is. It is your chosen group where normal is building what you want in life. Here's another example. When David was younger, his mastermind focused on hours worked. They worked their butts off. That's how they competed. How short sighted was that? But guess what? They worked like crazy because that was their tribe. Today, they still work hard, but now they focus on passive income and dollar productive activities. They went from being grinders to working smart. Yeah, because this is important. I don't want to just be grinding, and I know you should not just want to be grinding just to be grinding, but you want to work smart, right? You don't want to just be doing stuff to say, oh, I did something and I'm really, really tired at the end of the day, but you're not being as productive as you could be. So most of us like to say, work smarter, not harder. And my saying is, God will give you grace for the grind. If it's a grind that God has put you in, He will give you grace for it, right? So that's how I look at it. They did this by constantly asking themselves the question, is this activity going to get me where I want to go? The other gift he gets from his mastermind is that they are all committed to contribution, to giving back, and both of his closest peer partners do quite a bit for others. That is also part of his tribe and community. Because of his peers finding a way back and finding a way to give back, he has easier pathways to give back as well. So, this guy, as an example, hangs around people who are also physically active, hangs around people who give back to their community, they're givers, and he hangs around people who have a really good work ethic. That's three things right there that if you were looking for growth in your life, look in those areas. Who are you hanging around? Who are you hanging around that has a strong work ethic? Who are you hanging around that's, taking care of their health or getting their health together? They're actually concerned about what they eat and what they put in their body. Who are you hanging around that actually gives back to people? If you only hang around stingy people, then guess what? You're going to be stingy. So, the bottom line is create a vision for your life, build a community around you that stands for your success. Implement a schedule that keeps the focus on your goals and form a community where winning in your field is the norm. Then doing amazing things will be your new normal. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Let me look real close into this camera today. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Let me come over here. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. This is of utmost importance in today's age because there are so many people. There are so many people who are surrounded by naysayers. Listen, when I am trying to accomplish goals for my life, I don't need people in my ear telling me all the ways it will not work. I don't need that. Anybody with me? Anybody feel me on that? I don't need somebody telling me, oh, that's been done before and it didn't work out. Especially if I told you God told me to do it. Don't come telling me about somebody else's report and how it didn't work out. I need people who actually believe that this is possible and that I can get it done. Build relationships with friends who uplift and encourage you, people who offer you solutions and not complaints. Surrounding yourself with accountable people will make it far easier to be accountable to your goals and dreams. Are they accountable to their own goals and dreams? Paul remembers telling his shrink about 10 years ago, if I just make this small change and that small change, then my business would grow. I could do X, then Y, then Z. It would affect my world in the following ways. She said, yes, but you can't do those things. Paul was horrified. He asked her, how do you know? She responded, well, it's obvious that if you could do those things, you would do them, but you can't. There is an important difference between confronting reality and creating current obstacles as permanent impediments. It wasn't long after that he fired her, as he should have. Perhaps he should send her a thank you note because it spurred him on to surround himself with people who did believe in him, including his therapist. So get rid of people in your life who are sure you cannot accomplish your goals. If these people are telling you they are absolutely sure that you can't get it done, that's not your circle. Okay? Just plain and simple. Get into relationships with people who are certain that you can accomplish your goals. Now, here's one that people talk about all the time, but I don't think they get this detailed, but we're going to get detailed today. All right? Beware of energy vampires. Beware of energy vampires. Some of us are more energy sensitive than others. Some of us are what the medical field, the therapy field would call empaths. These are those of us who feel the other emotions of people very strongly. We can feel your energy. I am one of those people. I can feel your energy. I can feel it coming. I can feel when it's off. I can feel when it's dark. When you're in a dark place. I can feel when you are exuding negativity. And so I don't wait for you to exude it for me. I just move myself out the way. All right. So beware of energy vampires. Do you have people in your life who wear you out? Let me sit up. I'm slouching a little bit here. Do you have people in your life who wear you out? I do. I just don't give them a whole lot of time to wear me out. I'm not gonna, cut them off. But if you have people in your life who take a lot of energy from you, You have to monitor your time with them. So whether or not they're calling you all the time, or whether or not their speech is negative all the time, some of us cannot just cut people off because we're related to them. So we have to interact with them, but you can interact less. All right. If you know they wear you out every time you get into a conversation with them, it could be 5 minutes on the phone and you feel like you've run a marathon. That's somebody who's possibly an energy drainer from you. They take more than they give. Do you have people in your life who stress you out, who make you feel guilty, who make you feel less than? Every time you get out of a conversation with them, you feel less valued. That's a vampire. Okay? You may be dealing with an energy vampire. This is a well documented phenomenon, and there are several types. These are the three most common, and then we're going to stop here. Well, actually, no. We'll finish up. We'll tell you about avoiding energy vampires and tricks for dealing with them. Well, let's finish the chapter. We'll finish the chapter today. All right? So these are the three most common. I'm trying to watch my time here, so I make sure we have enough time in our last book. The three most common are the victim. This person blames anything that they perceive as not going according to their plan as the result of something or someone else. Now, African Americans have been lumped into this victim mentality. All right? Not everything that happens to Black people in this country is a result of racism, but far too much of it is. All right? That's the sad part. Far too much of it is. But not everything that happens is based on race. But a victim blames anything that they perceive as not going according to their plan as the result of something or someone else. It can be extreme to the point where nothing is their fault. Ever. They are also eager to tell you the real cause of their maladies and provide loads of evidence to prove it. So, you don't want to get pushed into being perceived as the victim for your entire life. You can think of some things that you can do to circumvent things that are happening to you. And when something is your fault, you need to own it. Maybe you aren't putting in the work that you need to put in to get to where you need to be. Maybe you do need some more classes or certification to move up in your profession. Maybe you do need to hang up the phone with the gentleman who keeps wasting your time and you keep going back to him. Some things we need to own, right? Number 2, the drama king or queen. This is the person that makes everything hyperbolic or hyperbolic. Their emotions run hot with lots of ups and downs and almost never a period of calm in their life. You can't believe what happened to me the other day. Paul knew one such drama queen who loved to throw gasoline on someone else's fire. She would observe drama and then inflame it. Listen, drama kings and drama queens can be also known as very high maintenance people. They are people who expect you to pay attention to them all the time, as if you don't have a life of your own. These are the look at me, 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 look at me people. These are the people who are always doing something and they want you to participate in it. They don't have time to participate in anything you're doing because they're always inviting you to something they're doing. Just pay attention. All right. Number 3, the guilt thrower. Closely related to the victim, it is a little different. They're absolute experts at making everything your fault. They're virtuosos at making you feel bad about something, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It will turn out being your fault. Sadly, family members are often experts at doing this. So you live 300 miles away. Um, it's your fault that my child is unhappy because you didn't make it to their birthday party. You live 300 miles away. You didn't tell me the birthday party was happening until 2 days ago. So you want me to upend my life, my schedule, to go to this birthday party. And if the child is not happy, then it's your fault that they're not happy because you didn't make it. Thank you for putting those notes up there, Lady Judy. So yeah, avoid too much interaction and time to these three: the victim, the drama king or queen, and the guilt thrower, also known as the person who shames you a lot. These can be lumped into the guilt throwing. All right. Avoid energy vampires. So now that you know how to spot an energy vampire, the next step is to follow a simple rule: walk away. I say walk away, put the phone down, log out, unfollow, all of that. When Paul talked to a wise friend about his difficulty with just walking away, Paul said, "Well, I feel badly for him. I don't want to hurt him further, and I do care about him." His friend said, "Okay, but do you realize that he doesn't care about you, right?" Paul replied, "How do you know that?" His friend's answer was profound. If the energy vampire cared, they would be sensing your discomfort rather than just continually dumping their issues onto you. They would ask how you were doing, and they would care about your answer. And that was a hard lesson for me as well. I had to recognize when people didn't care about me, and then I had to walk away. I'm telling you, because you can spend so much of your time allowing that person to suck you into their issues, and you're not getting anything in return. There is no mutual benefit to the relationship. There's oftentimes not mutual respect. And the little respect you think you have for them, or you think they have for you, that little respect goes away when you no longer serve the purpose of letting them suck the energy out of you. Energy vampires don't care about you. They care about managing their own discomfort at your expense. And they have found that zapping others makes them feel better, even temporarily, because it does absolutely nothing to solve their issues. Energy vampires are experts at sucking you in by asking for your advice. Guess what? If you continue to ask me for advice on things that I know that I'm an expert in, I'm going to refer you to sign up for consultation, and I'm going to send you a link. Okay? Because I am in the business of information, data collection, and research, but you should actually want to pay me for my labor. So if I have to spend an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours finding information for you, then yes, I'm going to charge you for my labor. And if you're offended by that, then I'm going to point you to google.com. Okay? All right. Tricks for dealing with energy vampires. Refuse the energy vampire's tempting temptation to join them in the swamp. Paul knows a guy who never ever has a positive thing to say. As soon as he approaches, Paul asks, "Hey, John, tell me something good." The look on John's face is priceless. He has no idea what to say. Then, when Paul refuses to do the usual negative engagement and asks again, "What's good in your life, brother?" John finds the conversation annoying, and then he walks off. When dealing with energy vampires, don't defend. No matter how crazy another person's attack, if you defend it, you are giving them the energy they desire. When you defend your position, you're playing their game by their rules. You may think that you can prove them wrong, But it is not the rightness or the wrongness that they're looking for. It's the engagement or the fight that they seek. That is what gives them the energy. This is why you really should stop having long, drawn out arguments with people on Facebook and social media, because many of them feed off of the energy they get from interacting with people in arguments. And so, especially when it comes to race, I've learned to call in my wonderful friends, White Nonsense Roundup. Go look up their page, go like the page, go befriend some of them. And then when you have people that come into your post and want to have weird arguments about things that is clearly detailed with facts and research and history, you don't spend your time arguing with them. You just tag in White Nonsense Roundup and they will come collect their kin for you. Why? Because I don't have time to argue with people about what is fact, about what's researchable. I need to spend my time on something else. So it is not the rightness or the wrongness that they actually are looking at. They actually just want your energy. They want to engage you in a fight online many times. They would love it if you were to agree with them. However, disagreeing is a close second because they want the attention, they want the engagement, and they want the fight. Even if you can't escape, you don't have to engage in their negativity. Paul remembers one family member saying to him, "You will never ever change." This angered him, and it took a while to realize the obvious. Inside of that statement is the assertion that he is not okay the way he is right now. So instead of getting hooked, Paul said, "You're right. I'll probably never change." This left him empowered and the energy vampire confused and surprised. The next time you're confronted by an energy vampire, instead of getting hooked, slow down, take a deep breath, and don't engage. "I'm sorry you feel that way. I want you to know that I listened and I heard you. You won't convince me, and I won't convince you. So we're going to have to agree to disagree. I won't discuss this further." Then hold your ground. If they persist, say, "Sorry, this conversation is over. Now tell me something good." They will flee like a vampire seeing a cross. Now, you have some people that, especially online and social media, even if you try to say the conversation is over, they keep going. Those are the people I block. Some people may say that's harsh, but no, it's not. Because you're going to continue to come into my space, not only draining my energy, but sometimes distracting people who are actually really looking for the truth. So if you don't know how to end a conversation, you don't know how to cut off a conversation, if you don't know how to agree to disagree, bye-bye. Because life is too short. All right? Some of us, we have people in our space that are consistently draining our energy and we don't want to cut them off. We don't want to cut them off. I'm not talking about cutting them off from salvation. I'm talking about cutting them off from draining your energy. Two different things. Wealth accelerator. When dealing with energy vampires, remember that you're in control unless you give them the power. Don't give them power over you. Instead, cast them out of your life by disengaging and walking away. Disengaging and walking away. Disengaging and walking away. Do you know that Jesus let people walk away from him? And he knew he was eternal life? Jesus let people walk. He gave them the truth. And if they didn't want the truth, he let them walk away. Bonus content: how to set up your own mastermind. If you're not already a part of a mastermind and you don't know if you'd like to join one, then just form your own. We assembled some startup tips exclusively for you to show you how. You can access how to start a mastermind at www.wealthcan'twait.com/mastermind, all one word. Next week, we will be looking at generating the momentum that builds wealth. All right. The Entrepreneur's Playbook, more than 100 proven strategies, tips, and techniques to build a radically successful business. We are on We are still on the topic of working hard because you'll be amazed at how many people don't. Remember, we talked about harder and smarter and how we want to work smarter and not harder. So he says here in this next section, it's not a matter of putting in the hours. Just because a person puts in a lot of hours does not necessarily mean they're working harder. Hint, hint. Business owners. To paraphrase former UCLA basketball coach John Wooden, who I mentioned before, you never want to confuse activity with accomplishment. Boy, I wish I could put that on a billboard at somebody's church. A lot of churches. Don't confuse activity with accomplishment. Just because you have a lot of activity going on doesn't mean you're accomplishing much. The simplest example is just because you show up at work every day doesn't mean that you're getting anything done. In fact, thinking about the number of hours you work just confuses the issue. Time is not a factor, quality is. What does it take to get the job done right? Wouldn't believe that you had to follow a defined, planned out routine that maximized efficiency until it became second nature to you. I do as well. It is not the time you put in, listen to this, it is not the time you put in, it is what you accomplish. Time served is only important when you are in jail. Wow. Time served is only important when you are in jail. That's where it counts. If you're not in jail, you need to do something better with your time. Invariably, that means a lot of preparation. This is a lesson I try to get across to my students. Let me give you an example, and then we're going to stop here today. It happens early in the semester. I call on a student to discuss a case study that has been assigned, and they will say, "I'm sorry, I didn't have time to prepare for it." I'll say, "I'm sorry you're not prepared. You can leave now." The student is always shocked, and they usually say, "But I can still get something out of the class if I stay and listen." I tell them, "I agree, but you'd have gotten so much more out of it if you were prepared." And equally important, coming to class unprepared is not how we do things. Please leave and return when you are prepared and not before. My approach may seem harsh, but I don't think so. To return to sports for a minute, it's exactly the way coaches prepare their teams. Their position is if you haven't been to practice, you will not play in the game. Bottom line. And all the great ones have every minute of practice fully scripted. They know exactly what they want to accomplish with the time they have to train you. Here's a great example. I'm involved in the horse racing business. One of my partners and a few horses I owned was Bobby Hurley. Bobby is now the head basketball coach at Arizona State University. He was a first-team All-American at Duke in 1993, and he went to the Final Four 3 times and led the Blue Devils in back-to-back national championships in 91 and 92, earning Final Four Most Outstanding Player honors in 1992. Bobby told me the behind-the-scenes story of Duke's win in the overtime during the NCAA Elite Eight tourney game in 92. Duke was losing by 1 point with less than a minute to play. Coach Mike or Coach K called a timeout. He told the team it was going to win. He then outlined the next play. As time was expiring, Grant Hill threw a full court pass to Christian Laettner, who turned around to make a jump shot that won the game. Impossible as it seems, but Bobby told me they had practiced that situation many times, so the players knew what to expect. They were practicing the long shot so that when they had to execute it, it wasn't a long shot in the game. Somebody's going to catch that. Mm, 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 mm. Coach K has a 6 point plan for success. Here's how I interpret it. You don't wish for success, you prepare for it. Specifically, you, number one, give attention to details and the big picture takes care of itself. 2, you adapt to changing conditions. 3, you play to win. 4, you have belief in your team members. 5, are you a good winner and a good loser? 6, know it's okay to fail. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. As long as you continue to strive for success and learn from your defeats. So failing is okay. You become a failure when you stop trying. Lastly, are you making the most of your time? This is where I'm going to stop for today. Let me make one last point about the best use of your time. Meetings are often just another example of confusing activity with accomplishment. Some managers have a monthly staff meeting, the weekly department meeting, and the daily check-in with immediate reports. These meetings sure fill up your calendar, but not much creativity or anything else productive comes out of them. Why do so many managers have so many meetings? First, for many managers, calling a meeting with a lot of attendees is a way to show off their power. People literally have to come when I call. Second, there are some people or managers and employees alike who can't get anything done without this kind of structure. They're not self-starters. They're not self-motivated. So they need the meetings. Third, someone once told them that the key to leadership is about having a lot of meetings. So they have a lot of meetings just to have a lot of meetings. My take on this is if the manager has to have a lot of meetings, something is terribly wrong. I agree. On the other hand, if the executive who has the authority to make decisions holds a meeting with an agenda that everyone is aware of, it can be very effective. I agree. So, 4 keys to creating a personal competitive edge. Number 1, be the first person in to work. Some people are going to absolutely despise you for it. Been there, done that. Do it anyway. Number 2, when the workday begins, be completely prepared to do your absolute best. Some people are going to absolutely despise you for that. Be the best anyway. You're not there because of their opinion. You're there to accomplish a goal and a purpose. Number 3, be the last person to leave work. This was also usually me because I had the keys to everything. So I had to lock up, check up, and make sure people were out and things were put away the way they needed to be. Number 4, think about ways of improving your performance at your job when you are away from work. Do you think about work when you're away from work? Are you reading things that will help you to improve at work? Are you going beyond in your own self-education? This is important. Even if you don't go back to school and get a certification, or you're not going to school for higher education, you should always be trying to self-educate and improve yourself. You don't need somebody to force you to do that. You don't need a college degree in order to want to improve yourself. I don't know where we get this from in our society that you have to go to college in order to be self-improving. It's just not true. It's not. Learn how to self-educate. Go to the library. Check out things that interest you. Read it. Get some how-to books. Practice doing what's in the books. All right? Self-education is powerful. And one of the things that it helps you to do is it expands your tools that you already have in life. You become highly sought after because you can do more than one thing or more than one kind of job. Little tip there. So we have a few minutes. If you want to tune in, if you want to say something today, you can tap the two smiles and we will bring you in. We have time for about 2 comments today. Double smiles, tap, 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 and we'll bring you in. If you want to comment on our food today, maybe some of you are thirsting for some cabbage right now. I know I am since I started talking about it. I got to find me some corned beef and cabbage somewhere this weekend. So if you want to talk about food, you want to talk about entrepreneurship, you can tap the 2 faces and we will bring you in. Anybody. Lady Stephanie, you have anything to share today? All right, Lady Barbara, let's bring you in. All right, I'm bringing in Lady Barbara and Prophet Jonathan. I love this feature on Periscope where you guys can come on at the same time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pastor. I was just enjoying the food because all the vegetables that you mentioned, I love. And I love a good coleslaw. And I was just thinking about that. I said, I have a cabbage in my vegetable bin, and I'm going to have me some cod, so I'll steam it up and have some coleslaw. So thank you for I'll prepare my dinner according to what you shared today.
Now, see, that's not even right. That's not right, Lady Barbara. You can't be preparing cabbage and I can't get any. I need a plate.
I love some good steak. And you said season right too. You have to.
Yes.
The coleslaw cannot be bitter. It's got to be just right.
It does. It does. It absolutely does. And when I have some good coleslaw, I have to hold myself back because I can eat a whole plate of just coleslaw and cabbage. Although that will not go well for the mister later in the evening.
I know. God bless you, Pastor. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, too.
You too. I will be on Sunday at 2:30. We'll be continuing our series, Jesus, Our Superior.
I love it.
Take care. Hello, Prophet.
How you doing, Prophet?
I'm doing great.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to briefly share. I worked with they were having a conversation about a particular video game.
Okay.
And they were saying basically who's the best at playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening and I was like, don't you all know that trying to call each other sorry or you trash or you're not this, you're not that, like, how is that improving? Hard to hear me. Okay. Let me talk louder.
There you go.
I was saying they were competing about saying who's better at the game, and I said, how is that helping anybody? I said, each one of y'all probably have a skill that the other person don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better if y'all come together and learn each other's skill set, and then y'all can create a group? I said, don't you all know they have video game competitions where the payout is $1 million?
Right.
Whoever wins the video game. I said, and also not only that, they have video game coaches where you can become a coach that's making upwards of $100 and more an hour training people for these competitions.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I said, y'all have to learn at a young age. You can get a lot more accomplished together than by yourself. So one of the the youth goes, well, they're my competition. They're my competition. I said, let me ask you a question. Would you rather make $100 by yourself or team up with someone else and make $1,000? So he goes, $1,000. I said, exactly. But I said, if you don't work as a team, how are you going to get there?
Right.
And I said, think about this. If you start a business with your brothers or your group now, because you're already paying bills.
Right.
I said you go to school to learn so you can make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you already making money, why you need to go to school anymore? Build that business and you're good.
Yeah. It's interesting if you look at some of the ones who are making the millions, they either did not go to school or they dropped out. Like they walked away because they realized that their time was better served actually focusing on their skill set and building that skill set than it was being in school. And then the other piece of that is you also have to look at how much schooling and how many opportunities were they afforded earlier in life to learn some of the concepts that some of us don't learn until college.
Yeah.
You know, so very good point, Prophet. Hopefully they took your advice, or hopefully you got them thinking.
I'm staying on.
Good.
I'm reiterating what I said. Have you been thinking about what I said? Making some steps? What's going on? Give me a report.
Awesome.
So,
thank you for sharing that insight today. Smarter, not harder. Uh-oh.
Hello.
Yes, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I wish I would have heard everything that Prophet Jonathan had spoke about because it was kind of unclear.
Okay.
But I want to touch on the fact about what you were speaking about, that not everybody has to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about, like you said, society gives us the impression that we do in order to advance. Now, my situation was that I did go to business school after high school, which I did graduate. I attempted to go to college, which I did get pretty far, until a tragedy happened and my family kind of set me back for a little bit. Tried to go many years later, like 15 years later, but decided, let me put my oldest daughter through college first. And then, so I tried again last year. However, with me working with the homeless population and things at my job, we had the hurricanes. My job was more demanding than what I anticipated. So I had to drop all my classes because it became too much. So I keep making these attempts, but seeing God do that, I had positions that people to this day, they think I have a degree and I don't. And he is able to do it without a degree. Why? I keep trying to make this attempt to get this degree, and I think it might be more so for me than anything. But it's also that pressure because there wasn't many people in our family who have a degree.
I think that
pressure not only from society and family as well.
There is a pressure in our society to be degreed. What I think our society fails in doing is helping people see the value in non-degreed areas, non-degreed professions, right? Because I can get certified in something that's making far more money if I'm really interested in it and I'm called to it. That's making far more money than if I had a 4-year degree working in another field, right? So to me, I think your education should be tied to your purpose.
True.
You shouldn't just be doing it just because society says you should have a degree. It really does need to be tied to your purpose because, again, you don't want to waste time. That's something that we don't want to do. So even in where you are, if you're there and you know that's what your purpose to do, right? You know that's what you're called to. You just have to step back and say, why am I pursuing this education? Is it for me? Is it for, am I trying to prove something to someone else? Why am I really pursuing it? And I think that will have something to do with the stop and the start piece as well. Because when it's...
To be honest...
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay. I think part of that was for me also is because I felt like I failed the first time. So I felt like it was trying to redeem that failure piece in my life. I think that was more or less why it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, where I work at, the superintendent wants me to go back to school because they do some things here as far as compensating for that or what have you. But she wants me to be a teacher. She said, we need more people like you of color here at our district. She said, I heard about you in the community. I heard about what you do, and we need you here at the district, which I understand. But I told her, I said, I respect what you're saying because she came on several occasions. Mm-hmm. I said, but I am not a classroom teacher. I'm not, the status quo or what. She said, well, bring your creativity, bring your strategies in and make it to what you want it to be. But what I understand about different policy and procedures of the district and how they will shut certain things down.
I think that you
have to keep in prayer.
I think that you are finding the answer as you're speaking, because if someone wants you to get education based on where they see you and not where you see yourself, that's going to be problematic.
Right.
Period. Because you're not going to be happy in that position, even if you get it. And the fact that you could be doing more as a community educator and a community liaison and still not have to go and do something that's required for a place that you don't want to be in the first place. You know what I mean? So even if you went back to school and you got a degree in something like nonprofit management or nonprofit administration, right? If your gift is teaching, but the piece that you may need may not be the place that you're gifted in. It may be, how do I take my gift and bring it to a larger spectrum, which may not have to do with getting a teaching degree. It may have to do with getting a management degree. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes people see teacher and they think you should get a teaching degree, when that may be what you're anointed to do, but the pathway of using what you're anointed to do may be in business, or it may be in management, or it may be in nonprofits. And so that may be where you need to focus, as opposed to getting a degree in something you're gifted at. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Correct. Yes, and that's what the assistant superintendent said. She said, I don't see teaching in a classroom, but she said the business part too. But I was like, okay, I just got to take all this stuff back to God.
Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. Take it back to God.
Right. Mm-hmm. Amen. Thank you, Prophet Shante.
Amen. God bless you. Appreciate you. Prophet Ben, Pastor Ben, how are you?
I'm fine. First of all, I want to thank you for your post on my timeline, and you should read my response to that. I gave out a room, but I gave you every title that I could think of.
No. Oh boy, I have to go and check that out today.
I put a bunch of dots. Yeah, then I put a bunch of dots and said that I can go on, something like I can go on and on. I given out a word, but anyway. I remember when we was talking about working smarter and not harder.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was working at a press shop. I was a press operator, and I'm sitting down. The machine is doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting down, and the boss came by. He said, "Do I pay you to sit down?" I said, "No, you pay me to know what to do, so I can sit down."
Uh-oh.
I knew how to set the press up. Listen, when I use tools, when I use machines, I let those people work.
Yes.
That's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
They're to do the work. When most people are running around making sure the ink is dry, the water is dry, all that type of stuff, I just sit at the end of the press and watch the masterpiece come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you do. Just sit there. When you know what you're doing, when you know how to set it up right, that's all you need.
You just said something key. Some people find themselves working harder because they're trying to be the tool rather than learn how to use tools and let the tools do the work.
Right.
That was powerful, and somebody needed to hear that today. Keep going.
Yes, and also on the education thing, I had a landlord. He has all kinds of degrees, and he told me that I needed to get a degree, and I asked, for what? Why? He said he went overboard back and got a degree. I said, well, maybe that's the goal that she wanted to accomplish. I said, because she got plenty of money. So, but it turns out that, he was saying things, well, that's not wise, and some things he was saying, I would turn around and I would catch him on it, like he would use big words all the time. We would go different places and he was a little handicapped, so a lot of places we would go together and stuff, and he would use big words. We're around people that are obviously not on that level as far as the words. And I say, man, you need to talk plainly so other people can understand what you're saying. I say, I know what you're saying, but he said that I'm not going to lower myself and my standards. And I'm like, looking at him like, dude, you said you were a teacher. I didn't go to school to be a teacher, but I know that you can't teach anything. You can't teach anybody anything unless you meet them with a level of knowledge.
Right.
See, that I know. To me, that's common sense. But then I found out that he was basically a babysitter. He had a bunch of students that had tutors. His students was children of doctors and lawyers, and they had tutors and stuff at home. So he was basically just a babysitter, hand out an assignment, and they go home, they'll get help, and they come back, and everything is cool.
Wow.
But I understood that was the basis of teaching, to find the person's level, meet them there, so you can bring them up.
Yes. Yes.
And to get knowledge through the basics. I'm a big cabbage fan. I love it. I love cabbage, and like you, I used to eat hoagies and things like that, but I started falling in love with the wraps. The wraps, and I do double spinach. By saying that, I mean I do the spinach wrap with spinach.
Wow.
Instead of lettuce.
Wow.
So I mean I love spinach. Even in some of my smoothies, I'll do spinach in there.
Yes.
I love it. I love spinach. And I was eating spinach when we were in high school. Kids would eat their spinach, but not in high school, but all through school. When you got spinach for lunch, kids would eat it.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I did not develop a love for spinach until I was well into adulthood, because my mother always would buy iceberg lettuce. And it wasn't until I started learning about the different kinds of lettuce and how iceberg, it has some nutritional value, but not as much as spinach, right? And iceberg retains a lot of water. And some people refer to it as, the poor people's salad, because iceberg is along the cheaper versions if you go into the grocery store. And so I grew up eating iceberg lettuce most of the time. So I didn't get introduced to spinach until I was, in my 20s. And I was like, man, what have I been missing? I've been missing some nutrients from life. I was like, why didn't anybody turn me on to spinach? But I love spinach now. I use it in my smoothies as well. As a matter of fact, I have a smoothie right here that's just waiting on me. I didn't drink any of it. I'm looking at it though. But yeah, for my husband, I have to sneak in spinach. He eats it in salad, but I have to sneak it into the smoothies, because if it turns green, he's not gonna drink it.
Right. Well, listen. One key to that is strawberries.
Yeah.
If you use strawberries or blueberries or something like that, it'll fight that green color.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had to learn that because Mr. Charles doesn't like to drink things that look green. I tease him about it all the time. So thank you, Pastor, for sharing your insights on today. I hope that those who are listening to some of the wisdom that is being shared. Prophet Jonathan said, hey, if you got a team of people who you all have different skills, you can team up together and compete and win monies for yourself. And then you can do whatever you want to do with it. If you're a gamer, right? Lady Stephanie shared some insights with us about work and whether or not you should be going for certain certifications or degrees. Make sure you're doing it for the right reason. Then Pastor Ben has come in and shared with us about tools. Are you the tool, or are you supposed to be making sure the tools are in operation so that you can sit back and let the tools do the work? So thank you, Pastor Ben. I appreciate you, and happy birthday. Happy birthday to everyone for the month of April. If I haven't told you happy birthday personally, but today is Pastor Ben's birthday. So if you are his friend on social media, make sure you stop over and tell him happy birthday today. Thank you so much, Pastor Ben. Thank you all for this time. Thank you for your time and attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So please go out today and be light. I appreciate you. Thank you to all my co-hosts today. I'll be on Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be covering Hebrews 10, and we will be still in our series, Jesus, Our Superior. If you are in the Soul Freedom course, I will see you at 1 o'clock. Take care, and God bless. All right, ladies, thank you so much for your time, Lady Evelyn and Lady Judy. Take care, and God bless.